What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and today I have actually a very special video for you guys. Today we will have a video to talk about Rising Nova with Bloody Ogle and with Bull Spike. Yes. So something that people have actually asked me to do, but I just didn't have the right time to do it. And right now, because we have a little bit of hype when it comes to premium, I thought, hey, why not to show you this deck? This deck is still a work in progress. There's still a lot to test about it, but it's more of a fun deck. So it's really nice to enjoy these old cards, to enjoy the Legion mechanic with the new Rising. For you guys who know what this deck is all about, you actually are more interested in a deck list. But for you guys that don't know how does this deck work, well, that's what I will explain right now. You know Rising Nova, right? So this is a premium Spike for the deck. That's why we see the Ogle right here. The Ogle is a Legion. That's Legions with the Frozen Ogle. So we have the Bloody Ogle and the Frozen Ogle. Together, they Legion. If you don't know what Legion is, pretty much you activate his ability, you target 4 cards from your drop zone, put them back to your deck, and you search for the Legion mate and you put it on your Vanguard circle. And with that, you have 2 Vanguards. What's the good thing about that? Well, now with markers, you could actually benefit from the power, because the marker gives power to him and power to him, and with that, one marker will give you extra 20k. So you have a very strong Vanguard attack, but you get more benefits out of the Legion ability and the Legion mate's ability if he has an ability that works on Vanguard or Vanguard, which I will talk about throughout the video. But now, so we have Rising, and because Rising targets 2 of your grade 3s and copy their ability, you pretty much with Rising will be able to Legion. So you will Legion with Rising and the Frozen Ogle, which is very strange, but also lots of fun to do. And again, with the markers, as I said, it makes a very good combination. And then, of course, we have the multi-attacking that you do with your Frozen Ogle, because your Frozen Ogle gives you the ability to multi-attack, and with that, you will use Bull Spike ability to keep moving in the markers, get the ability to retire if they have something like Only or something on the field that you want to get rid of, which this deck could actually deal with very well. The only thing that this deck would not deal with is your opponent damage denying you, because this deck needs Counter Blasts to work, at least 3 or 4 to be able to do like some shenanigans. Alright, now let's go through the deck, explain a little bit while we talk about them, explain the old cards especially and some of the new cards as well, and yeah, just let's have fun with it. Again, this deck is not that serious. If you have things that you want to talk about, you'll be like, yo D-boy, why do you have this and that in there? Why don't you have this and that? Would that not make it consistent more consistent? Yes, it could. Just let me know in the comment section below. I'm open for your ideas. It's just, so as I said, the work in progress, but I wanted to show it to you guys because it's lots and lots of fun, and I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to share it with you as well. Alright, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let us know in the comment section below, whatever you want to let us know. Okay, so let's go through the deck and then come back and explain how the deck works. So of course we start with the 4 copies of Rising Nova. It's your main grade 3, the big boss, and the card that could target your other grade 3s that you have on the field and gets their ability. Let's explain him right away. So first, his first ability, and very important ability, which is when you ride into this unit, you get both markers. And with that, you will be able to get Force 1 and Force 2, and you will move Force 1 and Force 2 all around the field, which means that you are getting a very strong attack right away, but also attack that could crit too. So your opponents would have to deal with that you could just finish them off in that turn, because even if they have 1 damage, they could only take 2 attacks. The only problem is if they get multiple damage triggers, then they could shut you down. Alright, then his second ability is by Soul Blasting 1, you could choose 2 of your other grade 3s that you have on the field, and you could get their ability. And with that, you could pretty much get the ability of Bull Spike and of course the Legion. Alright, so we have the Bull Spike right here. We also play 4 copies of him. Why? Because he's definitely an important key piece, but he's also a good right target in the early game to put high pressure on your opponent, and also to be able to retire and draw, and also to get a marker. So that makes that card really, really good. And then, of course, we play the 3 copies of the Bloody Ogle. You pretty much don't want to ride into him. Sometimes if you don't have any other options, you just want a Legion with him, you could, but you pretty much want to have him on the field to be able to target him with Nova. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you play this card. The Bull Spike ability, of course, the first one is whenever something attacks, you could Soul Blast 1 to move all the force markers that you have to that unit, and that's amazing, because with that you'll be able to move your markers when you multi-attack. Second ability is only once per turn. When an attack of one of your units which has a marker beneath it does not hit, you get the ability to retire and draw. As I said, that works very well, especially against decks that play Honolly. So don't be hasty when using that ability, just wait to the right timing to retire against the right deck, of course. And then we have the Bloody Ogle right here. The Bloody Ogle has the first ability, which is the Legion ability. I explained that already, putting 4 cards back from your deck, from the drop zone to your deck to search for the Legion mate, which is the Frozen Ogle right here, and the Frozen Ogle with Legion with this, and you see that V right there that gets complete, which is then you get the Legion. Then this card has 2 more abilities. The second one is, of course, that whenever you Legion in that turn, any Raggar that attack get an extra plus 5k, and then it gets to the bottom of the deck at the end of the battle, which means he could actually power up your Raggars. And because you're already getting the force markers, at least the force 1 and the force 2 that you get from his ability, you could give everything that black plus 15k, and it does 2 damage, which is really good. Very, very, very strong. Yeah, of course, you also have the last ability, which is a Counterblast 2 ability. Whenever he attacks, so the Vanguard attacks, you will be able to Counterblast 2, put a card from your hand into your soul, and you call something from your deck to an open Raggar circle. That's a very, very, very good and a nasty ability. It is good because it could call something from your deck, so you could extend your attacks. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't really work that well for the reasons that you need to Counterblast 2, which is really a lot to ask from the deck. So yeah, it could work, but sometimes you don't really use it that much because, yes, as I said, it is a ability that costs you Counterblast 2, which is a lot. Alright, now let's get to the grade 2s. We start with the 4 copies of the Frozen Ogle. It's a very good card. Whenever you are in Legion, or at least this turn that you Legion, you Counterblast 1 and you put this card to your soul at the end of the battle, and then you'll be able to call whatever you like to an open Raggar circle from your deck, which means you could go from an Ogle to your soul, Counterblast 1 at the end of the battle, another Ogle attack at the end of the battle, Counterblast 1 to your soul, and then again, and you could do it only 3 times because one of them is your Vanguard. But yeah, it's a very good card, and there are some cards in this deck that could recycle it back to your deck, so you could call it again. But the good thing about this is it doesn't really cost your card from your hand. It goes to your soul, so it fills your soul for some of your other strides. And yeah, it's the reason why this deck was so good back in the days. There is, of course, the Bad and Raggar, the old Legion, that you could still play in the deck, but it does make the deck a little bit less consistent because it doesn't give markers, and you do need to get into him, and you will have to play other cards to support that. We play 4 copies of Spruits, an amazing card that works very well with the deck. Reasons is that it could recycle the right combo pieces back to your deck. It works very good in the early game. It goes to Soul. It works good with the GB8. It's just an amazing card overall that works with everything. What's this ability? Well, it does need to attack a Vanguard, and then you put 1 card from your drop zone back to your deck, a normal unit, so you could not put triggers. And then at the end of the battle, this goes into your soul. You draw, and also your opponent would have to intercept with everything, which means that you could combine him very good with cards like Premios, which is the stride, because then your opponent would have to guard, and sometimes that's extra 5k or 10k or 15k what they have on the field as an interceptor would mean they guard the attack, and with that you'll be able to draw and call something again. So a lot of combination, as I said, that you could do in this deck. Sprout, an important combo piece, especially during your attacking turns of the GB8, of the Violence. Violence Ace could also work, but especially with the right strides, and also during the Legion turn, because you could return the right cards back to the deck. Then we play the 2 copies of Rona. Rona is good because Rona could get you the right grade 3s on the field if you want to target them. And also at the same time, you could just get her during the attacking turn with 1 counterblast. She calls a grade 3, which means you get an extra attacker. Not a special attacker, but it does still give you an extra attacker. The grade 1s that we run in this deck, we start with the 3 copies of Fake Bomber. Fake Bomber is a Legion, after the Legion, in a G-Era card. What he does is, of course, the first ability is Charge. If you don't know what Charge is, pretty much it works when you superior call it. And then you are able to make it charge. And when something is charged at the end of the battle that attacks or boosts, it goes to the bottom of the deck. So you don't really benefit a lot from it, and it's hard to activate because you do need to call it, to superior call it. But when it's charged, it gets super abilities. So this card's super ability is when it's charged, it gets plus 5k. And when this unit boosts a unit, you need Generation 1, you need a Rising Vanguard, and you need to Soul Blast 2, and you'll be able to call something from your hand to an open regular circle and countercharge 1, which means you could get extra attacks, so multi-attacking, countercharging, very good in this deck. And also calls cards that you have in your hand. Sometimes you have something in your hand that you actually want to have on the field because you drive check it or whatever, and with him you could get that. Next, we add the 2 copies of the old Acrobat Verdi as well as 2 copies of the new Acrobat Verdi. The old Acrobat Verdi, when called from hand, of course you could use it to be able to get Rising to your hand, which is the main grade 3 in this deck. Then we have the new Rising, the new Acrobat Verdi, which has more shield value, but also more power as you have it on the field, as when you superior call it gives it extra plus 5k, but also he gets the ability to search the right grade 3 to your hand when you call it. So very good to discard that quick shield, the extra draw trigger that you have in your hand or whatever, and yeah, that does make it very, very, very good. Also, you could use this card to stride with, because this counts as a grade 3 when you discard to stride with. Alright, and then we have 1 copy of Ambush Dexter. An important card to have in the deck? Not. Why not? Because you do need to call it, you need to cost a counterblast, and you need to have a grade 3 already on the field, but it's good. It's good because it works with different strides. It works when you call it from hand or just normal call it or superior call it from deck or whatever. It does always give you the things that you need, but it's not necessary to play out for. It's just the right card to have in the deck as an extra when some of your other stuff will not work. And then we also have, of course, the Gyroslinger. We play Gyroslinger at 4. We also play Gyroslinger at 4 in our aggro deck because Gyroslinger doesn't cost counterblast, and he's the perfect combo extender that does not cost counterblast. Alright, and then we get into the triggers, and that's when we start with, of course, the heals. We play the ugly heals in this deck, so just the V heals, and we play the Adelaide. Why Adelaide in this deck? Because Adelaide is ugly, and because the Ogles are ugly as well, so she fits right into this deck. Alright, and then we have some draw triggers. We play the 4 copies of Merlin. I do love this card in this deck still a lot, because it's a draw trigger and because it's a perfect yard, so you have more space for your grade 1s. Some people would like to play the Sentinel crits. It's understandable if you want to do that. Be my guest, just enjoy it. I didn't really feel it was necessary to, but I could understand you doing that. Again, pretty much up to you. You could do that, but for me, these work perfectly for my playstyle, of course. We also add 1 more draw, which is just a vanilla draw. It could be any art that you want to play. It could be Paulin, it could be Linux. Again, whatever you like to add in the deck. Of course, if you know me, then you know that I like to add Paulin to the deck because, again, it's a cheerleader and she fits very well with Merlin. But it's pretty much up to you. You could play whatever you like. So with that, we play 5 draw triggers. Then for the stands, we actually play one of the most player makers. It is, of course, the Mega Instructor. Instructor doesn't cost counterblast. Instructor could give your combo a boost. Instructor works very well with the Ogle because even if he's not charged, his ability would work because the Ogle will put him back to the bottom of the deck, and because of that, you will get his ability off. So, an important card to have in the deck and important to have at 4. That's not all the stands we play. We play one more, and that is the Devil Watch. Devil Watch is a card that works also very well with the deck. You do need to have Generation Break 1, and when this unit attacks or boosts, you could just get the Counter Charge 1 and Assault Charge 1 if it's charging. So why is that good? It's because it gives you Soul for your Stride, because it gives you Counter Charge for your combo extenders. It does get the extra 3k, which doesn't really make a big difference, except if you're playing against a non-Force clan, because he will be 7k, which means 17, 22, and which could hit above a trigger. So still very good, but pretty much most of the time you get him to your field because you want to use him to get the Counter Charge and the Soul Charge. Alright, and then we play 2 more cards. I do play the Linetto, which is a great card you could stride with. It's a crit, so your opponent knows that you play some crits. But in this deck, you don't really need to play lots of crits because you actually focus on having the Force 2 and the Force 1 on the field. But it does work sometimes. Your opponents sometimes think that you don't play any crits, and this would work. But you could take it out to play more draw triggers. You could take it out to play whatever you like. I didn't feel it was necessary to play her, but I also didn't feel like it was necessary to play other draw trigger or something. She's still a 15k shield, and she of course has the ability to stride with, which is good because you don't always want to discard your Grade 3s in this deck. Starter, we just play the Sniper. Again, very nice to have the extra soul, to have the draw in the early game, to get the quick shield because you have lots of cards that cost you to discard cards or to put cards to your soul. And yeah, this works perfectly. I love just riding the Acrobat Verdi and just using his ability to search the right Grade 3 and just discarding the quick shield as a Doom standard. This deck is very close to the standard Rising Nova build. Alright, there is one more card that you could put in the deck. There are actually more cards that you could put in the deck, but one of the most important one is Rising Star. It's my favorite card of all time, which I have this little cute token of it that Fira made for me. But pretty much Rising Star could get you the right cards that you want. It could get you the stand trigger, any stand trigger, because both of them have the charge ability, but pretty much you combine them very well with Instructor. You could work, of course, with Fake Bomber. You could work with lots of charge units that you have and could give you actually another combo extending. And he works also very well with your strides. But the thing is, in this deck, you don't really want to have lots of cards, Grade 3s, that you could ride into that doesn't give markers. So if you want to play Star, then I would still advise you to take one of the Ogles out, the Bloody Ogles, and not the Grade 3s that give marker. So again, I do not advise you to play it, but he's in there. You could use it. And as I said, this deck is still work in progress, so if you want to test it out, you should test it out. For your strides, we play the 4 copies of Agrius, then we add in the 2 copies of our Vermios. Of course, it's really good. And then we play 1 Violence Ace. I didn't feel that it was necessary to play more than 1, but yeah, you could if you want to. Let's put them right there so you could see all of them. And put this right here. 1. We also play 1 copy of Picaro. Why do we play Picaro in this deck? Because Picaro gives you field, and in this deck means the right cards to choose for your next turn. Sometimes you just attack with him, give your opponent that 1 damage, and just chill and wait for the next turn. Or sometimes you just don't have anything else to do, so you have to go Picaro, or you have to go Violence Ace. It's almost the same effect, but a little bit different. He gives you field, he gives you hand. We also play the 1 copy of the GB8. Well, of course we play with the 1 copy of the GB8. I mean, it's an amazing stride, works in every deck. In this deck, you don't really use him to his full potential, but you still could use him. Like your Rona could get you an extra attack. Of course, you have the spruits that could work also very well with him, because you could still draw and you could still recycle. But pretty much your Rona and Sprout are the playmakers when it comes to the GB8. And then we also play one copy of Vermida, one copy of Dust. Dust is still good because you have some decks that play G-Guards that could ruin your formation, and going into Dust sometimes is something that they do not expect. It put their Vanguard power very low for you to still make some multi-attacking, although still with Dust you actually need Star. Star is your playmaker, but in this deck you could still make some multi-attacking even without Star. So Dust is a good card to have in the deck, not that easy to get off, but because you also have 2 Vanguards, you'll be able to discard any of them to go to Dust, which is crazy and interesting. So Dust is in here because it's also fun to use. One of the cards that people actually really underestimate, but still very good. For me though, important against certain decks, even in this deck is good because he gives you Soul, which means work very well with him. Remember guys that you still have your plan A is to go for the Legion route, you still have your plan B, your plan C, you have your plan A in progress, you have your all the plans did not work, so plan Z. And of course you always have plan GB8. Alright, so that's it for the stride. Then we have some G-Guards, and that's actually it for the deck. So for the G-Guards, we actually go to the easy route. We play 1 Desmeal, 2 copy of Hecaton Ghost, and the 2 copies of Flyness, as this is my lineup when it comes to the Acro decks. Alright, so let's zoom out and let's explain how the deck works. I think that I've explained most of the cards, maybe not all the strides, but you guys know what most of them does. If not, and if you want to know how they work, just comment and I will try to help you out. Alright, so let's show you the basic combo, what you want to do. So, of course, you go to your, from your grade 0 to whatever first grade 1 that you could get, which is, let's say, in Acrobat Verdi, which is a good right target, a Dexter is a good right target. Acrobat Verdi is always great. And then after that, you could ride into a Frozen Ogle if you don't want to use your Counterblasters. And having him in your soul is just really not that bad because you could Soul Blast him right away. So if you have multiple copies of him in your hand, you could ride into him. But if not, then you could want to at least keep one in your hand. And right here, you could ride into a Rona to give you the right grade 3 that you want to have on the field ready. Or you could also go for something different. But let's say you have 2 Ogles on your hand, and you actually have the right grade 3s as well. You could just go into a Frozen Ogle. Alright, so next turn, of course, you want to go into Rising, because you have everything ready that you want to go, and you just want to go for the finish. You could go into Rising, and then right here, you actually could go for the Force 1 and Force 2. Choose whatever you like. I like the colors. This is my Rising new toy. I gave him toys. My Rising need toys to play. So he has lots of toys to choose from. I like these markers because they have colors, and because the Rising have multiple ones that you could move around, the colors are actually pretty nice. So let's go for let's go for blue and purple. Let's go for these 2 together. So let's say that you went for those. Let's say that you don't want to go for the kill turn right away. You don't want to go for this right away because your opponent is not at grade 3 yet, or whatever. Because if you want the Legion, your opponents need to be at grade 3 as well. So let's say that your opponent is not on grade 3 yet, and you just go for this, or you go for the first ride, which is Bull Spike, and you create just Force 1. If you go first, this could work. If you go second, you could still go for Rising. You could still go for the markers. You could go for an Agrius turn. You could go for a Vermeer's turn. You could go for whatever you like. You could also just go for your finishing turn right away. But normally you just need at least more markers. So let's say that you just want to go for Bull Spike first. And you create the Force 1, of course, because with Rising you create Force 1 and 2. And then you put a little bit of pressure on your opponent. You'll be able to draw from it. but you don't use lots of your counterblasters, you just keep those. Of course, you have to survive through your opponent's first stride, and with that, you will end up with having lots of damage, which is good. So let's say that your opponent was generous, he gave you 4 damage, but he was not able to finish you off. Well, that's really bad. If they did that, that's really not good for them, and that would mean that you'll be able to go off. Let's say that they gave you 5 damage, they were really trying to finish you off, but they couldn't, and with that, you end up with having 5 damage to work with, which is Christmas. So next turn, of course, you go into Rising, and with Rising, you create more markers. So let's say that we are going for red, and we are going for purple, right? So we have purple and red and blue. That's a nice combination, right? So we have all of these chilling right here, and now you could stride. Of course, you could also create the markers like this, and then you could stride, you go for Vermius, but let's say you want to go for your finishing turn with your perfect plan, which is to go for the Ogle, and you also, of course, need the one and only Bull Sprite. So you have your field looking like this. You activate the skill of Rising to Soul Blast something, which is in this case the Frozen Ogle, because you want it in a drop zone. You have guarded during the last turn, so you have stuff in your drop zone that you want to put back, especially stuff like the Frozen Ogle, the Mega Instructor, the Gyro Slinger, the Fake Bomber, stuff that extend your combos. And with that, you'll be able to Legion, so you return 4 cards, and now you have both of these chilling right here as your Legion. And you targeted these two, of course. So, as I said, if you have some Frozen Ogles in your hand left, that's good. You could just call them, and with that, you'll be able to extend your combos. If not, then it's also good because you could still use his ability that he copied to call something from your deck. So, again, it's all just fine. But in the most situations, what you want to do is you want to have at least one Frozen Ogle in your hand. So right here you begin to attack, right? So you attack with a Frozen Ogle, you give him the extra 5k that he gives because you have copied his ability. And right here you have 14, 24, 34. So that's pretty good. That's a good number, 34, with the ability to do 2 damage. So they will be guarding. They will start guarding. At the end of the battle, use the ability of the Frozen Ogle, goes to your soul, you counterblast 1, and you call something different from your deck. What you want to call right here is you could go for another Frozen Ogle, but you want to leave at least one Frozen Ogle left in your deck, or if you have in your hand is also good. Why? Because you want to use the ability of the Fake Bomber, or whenever you could not extend your combos anymore. But if you have 2 left in your deck, you could still go for 1 more. You attack, the same thing, at the end of the battle, it goes to your soul, you counterblast 1, and you call something from your deck. Right here, I actually like to go for the Fake Bomber, but there are some people that say you could also go for this, because this could also extend your combos, because he could put the Fake Bombers, or I mean the Frozen Ogles that you have in your drop zone that you Soul Blast back to your deck. But let's say we go to Fake Bomber right here because we want to extend the combo. Okay, now you attack with the Vanguard. You could do that, why not? So you attack with the Vanguard, and why do we attack with the Vanguard before we use the Fake Bomber? Because we want to, if you drive check something that you want to call on the field, now you could call it with a Fake Bomber. So what you do right here, of course, is you use his ability, so you counterblast 2, and then you call something from your deck. Right here, you could call something like this that could give you counter charge, but you could just go for your last Ogle. You pretty much could do whatever you like. You could just go for the last Ogle. All right, so now you also use the ability to Soul Blast something and to move the markers right here. So your Vanguard would be really huge because he gets the Force 1 doubles its power because you have 2 Vanguards and both of them get the power from Force 1. So this Legions for, let me see, 13, so that's 22, 22 plus 40, that is 62. So that's crazy huge, right? So that's really, really good. And now you have called this, right? So you attack with this, you drive check. Let's say that in your drive check you got a gyro slinger and a sprute, which is okay. I mean, could have been worse. At the end of the battle, you could retire something and you draw, but you could also wait, and then you Soul Blast again to move the markers right here, and you attack again with this. Pay your loss, beautiful Counter Blast. This goes to your soul, and now you could call something from your deck, and right here you could go for something like Edible Watch, right? That could work. Or you finally go for Sprutes. And with Sprutes, you attack, you return one of your beautiful Ogles back to your deck, and there you have to intercept and stuff. This goes to your soul, and you draw. And then you attack with this, you Soul Blast, and then you move the markers right here. The ability of the Rising that you have, that copied Bull Spike, and then you use his ability to Soul Blast what you have left in your soul. Do we have something beautiful? Yes, we do. And now you could call something from your hand. And right here, you could go for something like this. You also get the counter charge like this that could extend your combos, because you could use him with the Ogle very well. If you have a Ogle in your hand, you could call that anything that you have that doesn't call right away, like the Jarsoning calls right away, so you don't want to do that. So you get something like an instructor that could call at the end of the battle. Right, so at the end of the battle, you put this back to the bottom of your deck because it was charged. You could put this at the bottom of your deck because you gave the ability of the Ogle, and then you attack with this, you Soul Blast, you move markers right here, and at the end of the battle, it goes to the bottom of your deck, activate its ability, you put a card from your hand to the soul, and you call your Ogle, and your Ogle could attack. Okay, so you could make lots and lots of attacks, but you could also make it more consistent. You could use your Counter Blasts to your full potential, depend on what you get into your hand, and depend if you really want to rely on the Fake Bomber or not, because you don't have to. You could also just play it easy peasy. You could just have all of your Counter Blasters, and of course you start with this, so you have these two on the field that you have copied. You would just attack, goes to the bottom of your deck, you move the markers to this side, you attack, go to the bottom of your deck, you attack with this, you move the markers, of course, because why not? And you get lots of power out of it. You Counter Blast 2, and right here you get just the Ogle, and then you drive check. At the end of the battle, you just do the Soul Blast, you move this right here, you attack. At the end of the battle, you play the Counter Blast, goes to soul, you call another Ogle, you attack, you pay the Counter Blast, and with that you end up with having no Counter Blasters. If you have an empty Rhaegar Circle that you could work with, you could all go for something like Arona, which pays a Counter Blast, give you another grade 3. Another grade 3 means another attack. If you don't have any Counter Blasters left, that's what you want to do. At the end of your attacks, with your last attack with the Ogle, you'll be able to call something like a Gyro Slinger, and the Gyro Slinger will give you another attacker, which is in this case, let's say anything that you could get out of his ability, that you call right here. You attack with this, and at the end of the battle goes to the bottom of your deck. Move the markers, attack with that, and then it goes to the bottom of your deck. And if you have another unit, if it's something like a Mega Instructor, you could just call that back again, and you have even more and more attacks. So pretty much you'll be relying on your combo extenders, but you have to know when it's the right timing to use it. One of the very hard card to use is actually Fake Bomber. You only want to go for Fake Bomber if you have the right cards that you have left in your hand that you want to use, because Fake Bomber is a card that actually works very well with the Frozen Ogle, and there is another card that it works very well with it, which we don't have in this deck, but you could definitely add it to the deck, and it works very well with it. And it's almost the same as the Frozen Ogle, but it's a little bit different, which is Laser Blackguard. Another card that is not that easy to play, but it's definitely very good. The only problem with him is he doesn't call a great twos, and he doesn't call to the same Vanguard circle, which could make him a little bit harder to play, but also definitely a very good card to play. And that's it, actually a short combo that I showed you. Again, there are lots of other things that you could do when it comes to this deck. I just don't want to go into all of them, and also depend on the situation which combo you want to go into. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this deck profile and a small combo that I have for you. I hope that you had a lot of fun watching this video, and we also hope to see you in the next video. At the end, we always want to say thank you for all the support that you give to our channel. Thank you all for watching, liking, and commenting. We actually in general love to hear all of your thoughts that you give, your comments, your positive comments, and also your negative comments. If you have anything to say, we don't mind hearing it and answering. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Until next time.